My wife gave birth to a black baby that clearly isn't mine, and I'm divorcing her. But I'm worried about the relationship between my two kids and their new half-sister. A month ago, my wife gave birth to a black baby girl. We're both white, so she was forced to admit that the child was a result of a one-night stand last year. I've started divorce proceedings, although we're still living together for now. Between our two boys, aged 2 and 4, I've had paternity tests for them and they came back positive. Her infant daughter and her having lost her job due to COVID. Living together as amicably as possible until the divorce is settled is an unfortunate necessity. Naturally, I have no ill will towards the baby, and I've been disgusted by some of the comments I've heard from family members, friends, coworkers, and others, all of who seem to be fixated on the racial angle of this. As if the most salient part of this isn't that my wife cheated, but that she cheated with a black man and that the baby is black. What really worries me is that my two sons might pick up on these narratives. They're too young to really understand what's happening now. But I'm worried that as they grow to understand the situation that they might grow to resent their half-sister for breaking up their parents' marriage. And worse than their resentment might express itself in a racist fashion, under the influence of the aforementioned racist narratives. Any thoughts on how I should try to influence my sons away from that perspective? It probably doesn't help that we live in a suburb with very few black people and their half-sister is really the only black person my children know. Update. Unfortunately, my last post was locked, but I received a lot of helpful PMs from people. I'm particularly thankful for those who've lived through a similar situation, or have family and friends who've done so, and sent me advice on how this affected them and how to navigate the situation. I'd also like to thank the hundreds of mouth-breathing bigots who spammed my inbox. The big takeaway for me was that if I'd need to lead by example here, not exclude her in any way because of her paternity so that she and my sons would see her as a full member of the family. Also that I need to be more active in confronting the bigoted and ignorant nonsense I've been hearing, and teach my sons to do the same to protect their sisters. I've spoken to some of those responsible since and made clear my feelings on this, and that she is to be treated as a member of the family, and that if I ever find out that they've said things like that to my sons or their sister that they won't be allowed around us anymore. I've spoken to my wife about this, and we're more or less on the same page. She's been begging me to forgive her and not go through the divorce, but that's not going to happen. Even if I didn't consider the cheating unforgivable, I just don't feel any love for her anymore, other than platonic affection for her as the mother of my children. My sons are handling this as well as can be expected. The 4-year-old doesn't fully understand, but is upset by the change in the household. Thankfully, he's easily distracted. The 2-year-old is thankfully too young to comprehend what's going on, but has definitely picked up on how withdrawn his mother has become. They're both fascinated with their new little sister, so there's that silver lining. My wife OTOH isn't in good shape at all. She was depressed even before the birth, and now with everything in our divorce, her infidelity being revealed and the backlash from family and friends, PPD, and the exhaustion from raising an infant, she's barely functional. She's seeing a therapist. And I've been pressuring some of our family and friends to be supportive of her because even if they think she deserves it, her current state is making it harder for me and our children. It's become very obvious to me that even after the divorce is finalized, we're going to have to live together for a while longer. She's in no shape to be taking care of 3 kids without someone else around to support her, and I'm not willing to deprive her of her sons by seeking sole custody. It's also too difficult financially since she's lost her job because of COVID. As for the baby girl, she's healthy and fairly easy by baby standards. Since I've been helping care for her, I've bonded with her and I've discussed the possibility of adopting her with my wife. She can't contact the father, as the only thing she knows about him is his first name. And given our co-parenting situation, it feels like adopting her as my daughter would be the best outcome for all involved. However, there's been a wrench thrown in that plan. It was brought to my attention that there may be a way of finding the baby's father, namely by having her DNA tested by Ancestry DNA. If the father or one of his relatives has also taken the test, we may be able to find him through their DNA match database. If I'm being completely honest, I'm not happy about this. I've already started to think of the baby girl as my daughter, and having him in our lives would massively complicate the family dynamic. Plus, we live in Seattle and she met him in Philadelphia, so God knows how they'd even make it work if he wanted to be the kid's father. However, I recognize that this is a selfish reaction. If we have a chance of finding her biological father, we owe it to her to do so, if only so that she has access to her paternal medical history and so that she can have a relationship with him, if and when she chooses to do so. I've read a few accounts by children raised by non-biological parents, and a common thread is their desire to meet their lost biological parent, so that's that. We've ordered an ancestry DNA kit for her, and I guess we'll decide our next steps once we get the results back in a couple of months.